One of my favorite engagement activities to do with my students is a student-led Socratic seminar. So we'll have a topic or a text, and I give my students time before we do the activity to prepare questions, and I share with them how they'll be assessed. So what I do is I say you have to make 5 meaningful contributions, and I tell them what meaningful contributions are. So it can either be like a higher order thinking question, so it can't be a yes or no question. It has to be like an in-depth question about the topic or text. It can be a meaningful contribution to a classmate's response, meaningful answer to the question. I give them time to prepare, and then we come in and I remind them that I'm there as an observer, and they lead their own discussion. So it does take a lot of prep work with the students ahead of time, kind of developing like norms for what a respectful discussion looks like. I always remind them it's not a debate, like there's no winning. It's like a collegial, collaborative discussion. I think if students are developing their own questions, it really prompts them to think deeper about a text or a topic than just if I'm asking all the questions and they're trying to come up with the right answers. And I also think part of like real world success and problem solving skills is not just having answers to questions, but also like knowing what questions to ask and developing those.
I call it grudge ball. I think some people call it trash get ball, but my grudge ball is a little bit different. You have questions and it's teams against teams, and you want to be the last team standing with the most, but if you go out, you can come back in. So it's like some differences, but if you get it right, you take points from other people. So that's why they have a grudge against you. So you don't have to get them all right to win, you just don't want everybody to notice that you're winning and take your points. It's effective because if they miss the question, the next group gets to steal. And so everybody needs to listen so they can try to steal so that they can go. And then if you get the question right, then you get to shoot, and everybody wants to shoot to remove an extra point. So everyone's kind of bought in on listening and getting the right answer and helping each other out as the team. So that's why it works, although you gotta be careful. I have had to stop it before because they were gonna kill each other. They were gonna fight, so that was too big of a grudge. So yeah, it was too effective.
My engagement example today is going to be reciprocal teaching, and with that, students learn to process what they're reading in a group setting, and the goal is for them to understand what they're reading and how all the components work together, and even make some guesstimates as to what takes place next in the story, and it also gives them an opportunity to look up some things that they are unfamiliar with, such as vocabulary. It works because it allows all students to slow down, and students are required to write a certain number of questions, and so the students who have a lot of questions don't feel inferior to the students who don't maybe have as many questions, and then they all take turns looking up the answers to all of the questions, and there's no judgment made. Any question is a good one, all questions are good ones, and so it requires all students to work together to help the students. And I did have a student one time come and interrupt a meeting that I had with an AP just to express his excitement over his MAP scores, greatly elevating, and he said it was because of reciprocal teaching.
My effective learning strategy is by using individual whiteboards. When I use this, I have every student pick up an individual dry erase marker, a whiteboard, and an expo marker. This is effective in my classroom because it involves all students in the math that we're learning. When I struggle to have students actually engage in what we are doing, and sometimes they don't want to answer my questions, this allows every student to use the whiteboard. So I will have them work a problem out on their whiteboard. Then once they work the problem out on their whiteboard, I'll give them a countdown, and they have to hold their whiteboard up so I can see what the answer to their problem was. Since I do math, I like to use this side, which is just a plain side for their answers, or if we're graphing, I have the XY coordinate plane here as well, so I can see their graph to make sure that they've got the slope of a linear function correct, or all of those things I can check off together.
My engagement strategy, as I call it, is rage against the machine, have a little us versus them, right? That the world doesn't want you to know this, and the big corporations hope you don't use critical thinking, but I'm here to be on your side and teach you how to not get taken advantage of. whether it's in government and trying to convince them that, you know what, the status quo is going to be the status quo, and so you need to understand how things change to change things, or whether it's in AP psychology, teaching them why they need to understand research and experiments. Does antioxidant water work, or does it just cost more and it doesn't work at all? That's why we need to study science and research methods. And I think it works because so many people are trying to sell them something or convince them of something, and I'm just on their side, and I'm not going to lie to them or mislead them. It's not so much an activity as it's a mindset, as it is, and what I'll do is sometimes I'll turn off the microphone, or I'll go close the door, and it'll be like all right kids, here's why I'm telling you this kind of thing, and that dials them in.